Hi everyone, welcome to another Ninja and Gora show. So we've got Mr. Ataullah Parkar from the school, International School of Creative Science with us today, and it's wonderful to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Okay, so first question, Andy.
Okay, how has the overall online teaching experience been for you?
I think it's opened up a whole new world. I think all schools have been, flirting with technology over the last few years. There's been a requirement in inspection frameworks across the world. But what this is really required from schools is within 2 weeks to offer a completely online provision and a quality online provision in a challenging market. It's really brought forward the opportunities of what education might look like moving forward. So it's been overall an inspiring, challenging but inspiring experience for schools, I believe.
Right. Which digital tech tools did your school specifically use and platforms to deliver the classes?
Well, we were very lucky because in September we kind of just came to the start of our journey of becoming an Apple school. And that was really timely. So most of our students were coming into school with Apple iPads, and we had all the kind of the secure platforms available, the mobile device management system, etc. So that really made kind of the system ready to go with. So we were using the iPads, and then in terms of actual software platforms, we went ahead and used Shobi. We saw a lot of people were going straight on to doing live sessions, but I think we really kind of sat back and asked the question, putting children through 6 or 7 hours of live teaching, where is the evidence that that's going to have a positive impact on their learning? So we started off not by doing it live. We started off by doing just a feedback-based approach where there's clear evidence, and slowly introduced some live teaching. And that was an interesting journey because parents wanted it. And then later on, we decided to scale back because it was actually too difficult for children to attend online sessions, for the majority of the time.
Okay, so it has been a little experimental as we've moved along, right? But
Absolutely.
How have you ensured that student engagement is taking place consistently in the online classes?
I think the first thing is asking them. And from week one, we've asked teachers, we've asked parents, we've asked students, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And some of the feedback has been really interesting because when children are showing so much confidence in expressing, I'm not feeling like I'm progressing as much as I normally do, or I'm really excelling at home, or I don't feel like I know as much about being safe online. Children are actually really confident in expressing how they feel about these things and these measures. So I think talking to students all the time has been, we've done a number of surveys. We have lots of catch-up well-being times during the week. It's not just academic. And that gives them lots of opportunity to express their experiences.
Yeah, communication is very important there. Now, the kids you mentioned, they're digital natives, and so you give babies iPhones and pads or whatever, and they take them straight away. But what about the teachers? What about the older hands? How have they coped with it?
I think the teachers across the world, and particularly here in Dubai, they've really risen to the challenge, and they've had to show a whole lot of resilience. You imagine children in the foundation, teachers in the foundation stage, whose whole philosophy is engagement, and physical interaction, and ensuring children have sensory experiences, and you're completely telling them to change their philosophy while maintaining the standards that we want. So they've had to show extreme resilience, and I've not heard a single complaint from a teacher in our school, and I'm sure other principals will resonate with that. They've risen to the challenge. They know the situation. It's a health situation. But at the same time, they want the children to achieve their outcome. So we trained our teachers, within a day's notice to be able to go online, and they did it. We've had, I think, providing CPD in a very informal format. So we've got WhatsApp groups where we record videos and say, try this tip out, or this is how you mute everybody, or this is how you, and those that kind of organic CPD seems to have been the best way to kind of keep the thing evolving.
So it seems like it's been a real team effort then. It's not just one's taking the lead, everyone's sort of joined in together.
Absolutely. I think sharing best practice and teachers leading teachers, I think, has been the absolute key.
Yeah. So you mentioned parents. So what's been the impact on the parents been like, and what role have they played in helping the students cope with this situation?
I think one thing that we've all concluded as educators, as parents, and as children is that there is no replacement for school. And I think parents have had to take on a huge burden over these last 3-4 months, or I think it's nearly 5 months now. They've had to take on a huge burden of filling the gaps. You're watching a screen and getting feedback that way. You cannot replace the interaction of a teacher. So they've had to fill in the gaps, provide emotional support for their children, helping sure they're actually attending, keeping on task. Because the school's ability to first of all get children to the tablet to be able to participate is limited when they're at home. So there's a huge burden on parents. We've had Ramadan that's come in that time, and we've tried to adapt for parents for Ramadan as well. But they've taken on a huge burden, as well as facing their own financial situation, the whole economy and the impact on that, and the emotional burden that comes from that. So, our parents have taken on a huge, and we're very grateful for the way that they've kept resilient throughout this process.
Yeah, I try to. I think an important thing is to get the parents involved with their kids' education, so they understand what they're doing. Part of what I do is I give workshops to parents to help them share the responsibility and understand what their responsibility is as well, to get them involved. And so this has really sort of helped as well. Fingers crossed, they will have almost done the classes with them, and they will know more about what their children are doing. What about special needs? How have you managed to deal with the special needs situation?
There's a mixed response to that question. Some children, and when we say children with additional needs, I'm including children here perhaps are not engaged in the classroom for multiple reasons, maybe social reasons rather than cognitive reasons, for example. Some children have really, really excelled, and I hear plenty of examples of parents saying, child wasn't focusing at school, at home he's just developed his independence, and suddenly he's top of the class and getting grades. They've never seen their child behave like that, which is wonderful, and that's with no special intervention. Just the fact that she's had an opportunity to express their independence. I think children on the other scale with very profound needs have struggled, and because we've not been able to, for example, send assistance to their home, they just don't have the cognitive ability to concentrate and access the screen in the same way. And then there's children in between who've actually really benefited from one-to-one provision online, where they're getting a lot of attention from their teacher. And there's something almost more intimate by having somebody log in and have a one-to-one with you than just taking you out of a classroom. It's quite strange and ironic feeling, but I think children have really responded. We've got one of our children. He's 14. He's severely autistic, but has really benefited from the online provision. We've seen some amazing response, which we didn't expect actually for him, but he's responded really well. So I think it's a mixed provision, but naturally there are limitations, which children with special needs are particularly vulnerable to not benefit from the situation.
How has the school coped with the uncertainty of the final year students? So they must be worried. Did they reach out a lot to you? How did you pacify that at the beginning, and what provisions were made?
We're lucky in one sense because we don't have children who are yet in their final grades of GCSEs. We're still working our way up, but we do have children at key areas of transition, like end of year 6 and end of year 9 going into GCSEs. I think the critical thing has been just open communication. One thing we try to do is not talk too much about the pandemic, choose our occasions but actually build a message talking about next year. So, what are your options for next year? What would you like to do more of? What would you do when you get back to school? And I think building that builds a message of hope for children and for families. And that really helps, I think, with taking their mind off an uncertain situation. There are so many X factors still in this situation, and I think the KHDA and Dubai have been great because they've given now schools flexibility to decide how things are going to look next year. And I think that's really good as a principal. I think it's wonderful to give us that flexibility. But there are still a lot of unknowns and a lot of anxieties amongst parents and children. So talking about next year and talking about normality, I think, fills hope in everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there are externalities there as well, because this has proved that teachers that we can do these things online as well. And so I guess what we can look at in future as well is when a child's ill or a student's ill, they can, we can include them in the class, in a live online class as well. So
okay. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, biggest challenges of all of this that has happened due to COVID. I mean, as an administrator, what is your angle of what have you been through?
That's a fascinating question. I mean, I took over. I was the vice principal of my school. I took over at the end of the year, end of last year, December, coming into January. In that time, we went through 2 inspections, and immediately after the pandemic started, so it's been one heck of a start to becoming a principal in Dubai. But that's amazing. It's been a huge learning curve. I think what it's really done, as well as kind of speed up and show the resilience of our team. I think what it's really done is shown us how connected schools are to the economy and how dependent we are on the economy. And I think those conversations which schools naturally shy away from, because we sometimes we're quite immune from that. It's really kind of said, actually the sustainability of us as a school depends on us providing a quality provision which meets the needs of students to be able to continue. And I don't think I ever anticipated that being at the forefront of the conversation so much. So that's been an interesting learning curve. I think it's also made us really think about, one thing I'm enjoying is defining, well, what does education look like in the future now? We've clearly learned a lot of lessons, as well as missing the children being present. There's been a lot of benefits as well. And we need to really reflect on what does the new normal look like. I mean, do we want children in for 35 sessions a week next year, fully in school? Or actually, would a hybrid model be welcomed by parents if children have excelled in that? And how can we kind of meet somewhere in the middle with that moving forward?
Yeah, that's so we've talked about the challenges. What are the silver linings for you of pedagogy?
I think it's completely accelerated my Apple School program. We had certain plans to keep it simple this year and just kind of integrate it. It's just kind of blown it out of the window and kind of, you will become an Apple School. I think getting teachers and trained. I think getting children trained on the effective use of these devices are great, and it's really sped that up. So I'm really pleased with that. I think it's really opened up everybody's eyes. I mean, just a perfect example. We hold curriculum workshop at the start of every year. We get 15% of parents sign up. Well, we had Teams all that time. Why did we never have a workshop on Teams for parents? Why did we never think of doing that? It's just, I find it really ironic. So now accessibility to school for parents. We had parents evening online this year, and the participation of parents was into the 90%. And that's incredible. So why? The question is, we had these things before, and reflecting on why did we not use them? There's been no cost increase really, in infrastructure, to be honest. It's just about choosing what we use and using it effectively. So that's the silver lining for me. I think there's a wonderful opportunity for parent participation moving forward, and like you said, getting parents empowered to know what their children's education is about. This is a great opportunity to do that through. We had a maths workshop the other day. I was just blown away by the participation of parents online, and I want to do more of those moving forward.
Right. You must have been collecting data and feedback during this period. So what are the key highlights from that? What feedback has been coming from the students and the parents about major impacts and learning, so on?
I think parents have shown a lot of appreciation for the efforts of the school and the fast-paced nature of the change that's been involved, and that's been really reassuring. I really appreciated that from parents. At the same time, at different points they've expressed concerns about the burden that they're feeling and the stress that's being caused. And for example, we've had to continue with some form of assessment, but parents, the perception that these are exams and these are high stake, where we were using them more as a formative tool. So I think, getting feedback with the anxieties that parents are facing are really important. Right now, we're talking to parents about how are you feeling about next year? Are you feeling safe to send your child in? And what kind of things would you expect to see in school? And actually, the feedback we got just today was that actually many parents are still feeling very anxious about sending parents to school. So that shows now we need to really send reassuring messages about the protocol that we're putting in place to make sure that children are safe, which we're working very hard on. So lots of trends. I think it's been a journey for parents, and at different points there's been expressions of happiness because they've seen I think they've had an insight into their child's education they've never had. I mean, we're using Shobi, and I think it's the first time that parents have had a daily look into their child's books. you know, and that's rather than just every half term or every term. So that's brilliant. On the other hand, you know, parents have expressed anxiety when they've had it, and you know, we've had to help them and support them through that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Future trends and impacts on assessment you mentioned. So do you see it leaning towards formative assessment and more project-based learning, even at school level?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, reflections on our pedagogy is that the pedagogy of digital is very different to the pedagogy of classroom. So next year, looking at a hybrid model, you know, we're talking about instruction happening in the classroom, but actually really promoting project-based learning, using the facilities available on the iPad, whether it's recording, whether it's a project doing keynote presentations, doing animations, those kind of things, as really building the independence of learners. So changing pedagogy, absolutely, and as a result, changing assessment, because the type of things you're expecting submission for are looking very, very different. So we've known all along that exam-based assessments are you know, a regurgitation of memory and not a true reflection of understanding. So, you know, I hope that schools rise to the challenge here to change what the landscape might look like in this area.
Yeah, some really good points there. What about, you mentioned sort of long term, what about short term? What are your plans for September?
So September, we know that there's rules now around social distancing that are going to be implemented in schools. So at any one time, we anticipate only having 50% of children on site. And, you know, what we're trying to take into consideration is, having children in school ensures continuity of learning. So having them every day will be great. But at the same time, logistics for parents, you know, half days and them having work, etc., is also going to be a challenge. So we're looking at potentially having alternate days, concentrating on instruction for core subjects in school, and a bit of PE and a bit of art to bring that therapeutic and physical development in school. And then at home, really redefining our pedagogy for teachers at home. So the burden's not on parents, it's project-based work. Children are enjoying the engagement at home and really enjoying their iPads. But one thing we've realized also is that, you know, the quick switch to iPads, there's a real opportunity or a real threat to neglect the art of handwriting. And one thing is we want to ensure that craft continues. So we're bringing in a handwriting program next year to make sure that we're not losing sight of the power of presentation that we want in the books as well. So making sure we're getting that balance, I think, is really important next year.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, because a lot of people are going into, for exams. Hopefully, exams will be done away with soon, because I think they are becoming a little bit of a thing of the past. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But while we've got them, and handwriting is very important, and unless people are going to introduce computers in exams.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. It was wonderful having a chat with you and learning.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.